Hi everyone, this is Kelly from The Truth in Story, and I am here to do an update on all of my journals. Because as any good tarot person knows, most of us, not all, but most of us who are in love with decks and things are also in love with planners and journals. It just seems to be one of those common threads. So if you have been following me for a while, you probably have seen the morphing and shifting of my journal system, and so this is going to be an update on all of it in one fell swoop. So I'm going to set these and this, so excited about this little thing, aside for a minute. Actually, let me just really set it aside up here for a minute and talk about my actual planners, or actual planners versus, I guess, journals would be how I guess I would separate them. So if you watch my other planner videos, you know that in January, so for 2019, I've been bullet journaling for a couple of years in various formats, but always the same structure. And in 2019, I swapped over to Hobonichi. So I have a Hobonichi Weeks Mega, and I have a Hobonichi Techo, the English version. And so these are the two Hobonichis that I have, and I use them for very different purposes. And so we're going to talk about those for a minute. My bullet journaling, what I do for bullet journaling hasn't changed at all. And I have other videos of why I switched to the Hobonichi, but in a nutshell, the way that the Hobonichi works, well, here, let me pull a blank one. The way that the Hobonichi is set up, and I'm going to go ahead and zoom in right now. The way that the Hobonichi is set up with the with two sides, a grid over here, and then we've got the week all in one. This is how I was setting up my entire month after month. I would go into my bullet journal, and I would try to get a blank monthly. I would draw in a monthly, and then I would do the weeks. I don't do dailies. I use the weeklies. I like to see the week at a glance, and it just works better with the way that I do. So that's what I was drawing in to my bullet journal. And so it was, so once I really took another look at the Hobonichi, it was like, why am I like drawing this over and over again when it's set up exactly the way that I want it? I love the size. So now we're definitely 4 months in, and 4.5 months actually today, wouldn't it be? So about 4.5 months into the year. The size is perfect. The setup is perfect. One of the big benefits to this is that I can forward plan, whereas there are ways of forward planning in bullet journals, so I'm not saying that there isn't, but there is. But this is just, for me, 100% easier, because all of the weeks are printed out, all of the months are printed out, and I can just forward plan things as I need to do so. And that for me works really well, because I'm sometimes needing to like plan across a year for my classes and things of that nature, and so being able to just put those in is what works best for me. So I'm going to set this aside for a minute. I've just got some things taped so that I can kind of give hit on pages that I don't have to cover too much up of personal things. But the month setup is working fabulous. I pretty much use this for people's birth dates, things like that, as well as just a check-off place for bills and stuff like that. And it's just an overview of the month, and gets used probably the least of the rest of the Hobonichi. Where I really do most of my work is in the week spread, because that's just simply how I work. And what I love is that I tend to keep in this main section my just main appointments, regular appointments, things that I have to do. A lot of times I'll have lists, but instead of having just a straight list, I do tend to break it up into when I think I'm going to be able to do that. And because it's on the whole page, even if I'm over here and I'm coming back and doing a check mark over there, I don't mind. I don't move things. I don't forward them until it were to go into the next week and I have to flip a page. Then if I haven't done it, I'll forward it over to that. On this page, I use more for business. So I will have readings kind of listed just in their general so I know what kind of reading it is. And then I will have things like videos and stuff like that that I need to do business-wise over there. So again, this is the same setup that I was using for in my bullet journals. So nothing has really changed, but I do love the format, love the size, love the forward planning. It's amazing. And then there is in the week's mega, there is a whole big section, more truthfully than I could probably be fine getting the week's regular. More than likely I'll probably still get the mega again, because as soon as I get the regular, then I'll wish I had the extra. We'll see what it's like at the end of the year. But this is just a section of graph paper. And so this is great for things like I started, working through my Oracle deck in terms of the different suits, and then I was thinking, oh, maybe I'll add a suit of OMs, and then I started to think, oh, I wonder if I could make these into symbols and it could be a casting system. And then I started to try to morph out like what I would do for a cat what I would do for what those symbols might look like, and so on and so forth. So it's kind of used for listing like decks, although that is not kept up to date. And I've got to work on token class so I can put information there. Tarot Summer School coming up over there. And so it's a great place to be able to do those kind of permanent lists that don't really go in a specific week. And so therefore can stay static in the back. So no regrets of switching to the Hobonichi. I love it. I love this cover. I wondered if I would like the plastic cover, but I love the plastic cover in this because I can plop it down on the kitchen table. If it gets gross, no big deal. I can wipe it off. It's just perfect. Perfect. There's nothing I don't like about this. I will definitely, as of right now, I should never say definitely, because in the land of planners and notebooks, things can change. But my intention is I'll be getting this getting this again. I mostly use, I've used several different things with it, and the paper is fabulous. That's another thing I love. But my favorite, well, this is actually my second favorite fountain pen, and this is the it's a carbon ink pen. It's a platinum carbon ink pen by, oh my goodness, Pilot. And it has the finest tip on it, and I absolutely love the fineness of this tip and how it writes. So in terms of fineness of tips, it's my favorite. In terms of just the feel of writing with it, it's my second favorite. So I love it. This always stays pretty much with this particular on my desk, because that's where a lot of my work goes, is being done. And so this stays on my desk, which I'm pointing to because it's over there. So that's Hobonichi number 1, and apparently I need to turn my phone off. The second Hobonichi that I ended up getting was the Hobonichi, as I said, Hobonichi Techo, and this is the English version. I'm going to do this again next year as well, as far as I'm aware, but I probably will not get the English version. I think that I like the coloration of the Japanese version, and so I will probably not get the English version, but I will still get the Techo. So this, I did have a cover. You know what? I just had a massive purge and I probably threw it out. I ordered my Hobonichis late in the game, like it was at the end of December. Possibly the beginning of January, but I don't think so. I think it was the end of December. So everybody was sold out of everything, and so I just got the basic vinyl, not vinyl like plastic. I wish they'd had that, but they hadn't. But it was like a parachute vinyl, just a basic one that they have. It's Hobonichi's brand, and that's what I got for this, and I despised it. The thing wouldn't stay open well. It felt gross. I just did not like it at all, especially because this is my personal, like, tarot readings and workings and things like that book, and it did not inspire me to feel like touching it. So I recently, when I realized how much I really love this as what I'm doing it, this brand is called Asian Vintage. It has this little mountain on, so it does have that, but it looks really nice. It's not an obnoxious label. This is leather. I don't know if they have any non-leather, but this has a very similar feel to, or look and feel, you know, it's to a Midori, but obviously set to fit an A6. I believe that the Techos are A6s. We don't use those designations in the US, so I get those mixed up. So it looks like it kind of goes with everything, and I love this cover. And you could pay, I think it just came like this with the pen loop on it, but you could pay, I think, $2 to have the loop put in here just like a Midori, and I definitely did that because I do like my journals to have loops or something to close it. They all do, everything that I have, because this, you can get a little thing that goes in the back. It just slides in the back pocket, which gives it a rubber band, and it kind of just closes in the corner. It's perfectly fine. It works great, and it looks good with my little flowers on my cover, and I love it. So this is a cousin, as I said, and it has months, which I really don't use. I'm going to sit down with my astrological planner and plan out or write in all of the astrological information that I wanted to have. Because right now I'm not making much use of the monthlies, but then it has the dailies. So this is a daily planner, and so you have this size. I almost would like it to be a little bit bigger, but then the next step up is quite a bit bigger, and I think it's going to be more than what I would want. So right now, unless I just sit down and really take a good look at the two, my intention is to probably stick with this size. So what I'm doing is, one of my plans this year, last year, my focus, I don't tend to make like New Year's resolutions, but I have always had some sort of one or two things that I'm going to really focus my energy on, and I do pretty good about that. And so last year my focus was on my own practice. So it doesn't just mean tarot readings, but just, you know, my own things that I do on my spiritual path, and what I want to accomplish, and setting up space and things like that for myself, and kind of going to my practice you know, not daily, but regularly, and I'm thrilled with how that went. So this year, though, what I wanted to do is really focus a lot on continuing that, but to also focus energy on my personal readings. As a professional reader, I find that, and I've heard other people say the same things, it's really easy to stop doing more in-depth readings for yourself. Like, I throw 3 cards down and I'll check this, check that, and just get a quick little response from it and move along. But I really had lost sitting down with a specific spread. I mean, I didn't ever do it, but it just didn't feel like I had a consistent reading practice for my own self. And so I am using this kind of as a journal where I can keep those spreads that I do. I also have in here a list of my Wheel of the Year, so my card and my rune of each month, and then I have 8 animals throughout. And so at the beginning of the months, let me look for June. At the beginning of the months, there's a blank page just leading into the new month. And so here I can go in. I say I won't have May yet because I wait till No, I did go in. So May is Lovers and Kenna's, as well as the Crocodile. But then I didn't do good here because I usually try to leave myself a little bit of space to come back at the end of the month and make some little notes about how that has worked out for me. So I'm using it for Wheel of the Year. I'm using it for the year ahead information. I'm using it to log my readings, my own personal readings, and also just any kinds of workings or something that I want to track. So it's kind of a personal spiritual path and reading journal. So this brings us to this awesome little doodad right here. As you can see, I have, not at the beginning, I was doing this, which I was writing it out, which was okay. It wasn't as okay when I was doing, and I've been doing now, of course, lots of castings with my, journey tokens, and I didn't like the casting as much. I'm trying to find an example, but of course, will I find an example when I need to? No. Anyways, I didn't like trying to track the castings as much, where you really get a good feel for, like this is a casting at the bottom. So it just was like a little clunky, and I was like, how can I, well, I'll tell you, it was actually something else that made me finally go out and get the little printer. But combination of the two, I'm like, okay, I had done some research about getting a little sticker printer, and so I went and I did some more research, and I had a coupon, and it was sale on a coupon thingy, and so I just purchased the Canon Ivy. I am not saying that this is the best sticker printer. The HP has two with this size, as well as a little bit larger size. I did look at the little bit larger size for a minute, but to be honest, because I'm going to stick with, and that's when I sat down to say, am I going to stick with this size? Because the full size still fits okay on my thing, and I have room to at least jot some notes. I'm not a big writer. I don't write it. I'm a writer, but I don't handwrite lots about readings, just to give myself the key information. And when a lot of the times I find I just do it half size, so I get two readings out of one sticker, and that leaves me more room, obviously, to write. So I didn't really want to go to the bigger size. There are also sticker printers that you can get that actually use ink. This uses what's called zinc paper, and so the ink is not in the machine at all. The ink is actually in this paper, which is called zinc paper, and they all use this for the most part. The upside of zinc paper is obviously you don't have any ink in here, and so you get something that's really portable to be able to use. The downside to it is that the coloration isn't going to be as good as if you're using actual ink. So you don't need one of these. You can print it off on your printer and glue stick it on. That was just steps that I didn't want to take. Or you can, I think, get sticker paper as well on your printer and then cut it out and stick it on. So there are ways to do this without this. But again, I got such a good deal on it that I said, I'm going to give this a whirl and see what I think. And I love it. It's one of those unnecessary items that I absolutely love. So, and so then I'm able to actually see the deck, see the colorations. If it's a casting especially, I love it because I can see the casting in exactly the way that things have fallen. Because I use a little garnet by that, I know that was flipped over face down. This I know is bear, and I know that, or was an animal, and then I have this. Now I can't read this, but I do know that it is whale because I wrote it down. My eyesight cannot see the number on that, but I get the whole motion of the casting with the picture, and I really love that. Every once in a while, I've written something out, like this here was a cauldron, 3 cauldron readings that I did, a reading that I did for myself, and I you know, I had written it all out for Instagram, and I didn't really want to write all that out, nor would it all have fit onto here. So what I really love is that I'm able to screenshot text and print it out, and it's actually very legible. I don't have any problems reading it, and so I don't do that all the time because obviously that uses 2 whole sticker papers to do that, but sometimes it's worth it because I really want to keep down what I had put. So sometimes it's that. Again, I just love to actually be able to see the cards. I can look back and look at this and kind of read it all over again, you know, with the colorations and with everything. Now I also do daily 7-day check-ins before every turn of the wheel. Like this is a spring cost quarter, so I know I'm changing over to crocodile energy. I did, and so 7 days before that, my friend Patrick and I do an energetic pull, and so I'm able to. I have to go back and finish writing, but I have. It's the energetic point of the voice. The stone that I use for that is blue calcite, and the card that I pull from Illuminated Earth is the Dreams card. And so just from those 3 things, I can look back and kind of get an idea of the reading. This was a different reading that I did at the time, and so on and so forth. So those are also logged in here as well. Or just something random like this. Like this is just a picture of 3 dandelions that I found and put on Instagram, and I had found a poem about the hymn of the divine dandelion, and so I just put that in there because it struck me. It was an oracle to me, walking and seeing that. So this was a bigger reading. Now I hadn't written anything on the day before, so I did just stick the picture there and kind of point over there so that I could write more out because I had wanted to, and most of the time that works because I mean sometimes I'm doing dailies, but even if I am, it may just be the top half, and so it's not really a problem. It's not been up too much. So here, you know, I had more to write on both, but a lot of times there's plenty of room. Things like this do make me say, okay, maybe I need to get the larger one, but because the majority of the time it's been fine, I don't know, I'll have to make that decision before next year. So that's how this worked, and this works really easy. Let me see if I have something to print here. So you turn it on. Plug my phone. And it pops up to allow you to connect to the printer. I don't want to print what's in the queue. And so then I can just go either take a picture, or I can go, let's see, make sure I don't have clients' readings right here because I take pictures of them. Let me see what I have to put a picture in. Well, here, I'll just use this right now because that's something I might want to stick in here. So this is a sketch, you know, this is a rough sketch of a painting that I'm going to do. So for example, I can kind of center how I want to do it, and then I can hit the print button, and it is going to send it to the printer. Of course, this isn't a good thing to use to show you because obviously I'm just pulling it away because it's making it really dark. See how it does that? Obviously there's no color here. So it's going to come out. And you can, it doesn't smudge or anything when it comes out. It comes out fully developed. It's not like a Polaroid. Again, I should have used something colored, but I didn't have a reading prepared. So then this is a sticker, and the sticker just comes off the back. I can look up because I have marked when I did the sketch, because I've been doing paintings off of different songs, and there's a reason behind it in the song, and so I can, you know, go to the date in which I I had this idea to sketch out and kind of write why I chose to do that. And when I'm finished painting it, I can stick a picture of the painting in, and then I can have those images in my journal to be able to look back on at the end of the year. I'm going to go ahead and turn it off. So it's rechargeable. It just charges up. Cost-wise, if you just buy the little packs, they are $10 for 10, so $1 a piece. Again, that's 50 cents a piece if you get just use 2 pictures on one, which I have been doing quite a bit. But you can also get larger packs, which again then makes the cost of each one comes down. So it's definitely not like cheapo, like it's not going to be as cheap as printing it out on a piece of computer paper, but I have been loving it, which will segue us into, so this, I'm really loving this. It's definitely kept me going back and making sure to log my readings and things like that, which has been really great. This has my first favorite fountain pen. This is a brass fountain pen from Midori. That is my absolute favorite pen to write with. I wish it was just slightly thinner like my Pilot. Then it would be absolute perfection. But in terms of writing with, the weight of it is perfect. The smoothness writing, especially on this amazing paper, is perfect. It's nice and compact, and it's aging. It tarnishes up to beautifulness. That is awesome. So that stays in here with this one. So that's that. Then we get to more of the journal things, and this is also where I actually finally decided to make a run for this. And I've done so many different iterations of this, trying to find what I wanted, and I ended up really wanting something that was small, all kinds of things. This is a knot thing. So some things are drawn in, obviously, before I had the sticker, but this is moon water and how, so someday Katie can read how and why I use moon water. The recipe for my Kelly's Mojo water. This is just sketched out. I make seasonal salt, so not only do I have the ingredients that I use, but these were dark. I have learned you have to kind of tweak the settings. I don't too much so, because it's still enough to just get a visual, and so I've really been enjoying that, and it makes me more inclined, because I'm just not, I love to write, and I love I want things like this. I know lots of people do stuff like this as well as their calendars in print or in digital forms, but I am a huge digital person. But when it comes down to this kind of stuff, like planners and this type of stuff, I want physical things. And so this is kind of the best of both worlds, because I don't write a ton. I don't really like to handwrite. I have bad handwriting, and probably because I don't like to write. And but it's enough to at least have it on paper, and this stays in my shelf. It fits perfectly in my little cubicles. It holds all my herbs and all my essential oils and everything. It just slides right in there, and it's fantastic. I'm gonna scroll out a little bit here, I think, because that brings us to the last two. Oops, where did I put them? Oh, I put them back. Which are my Midoris. This I have had for quite some time now. I cannot tell you when I bought it, but I've certainly had this for a while. I bought it, I think, with the intention that I would use it, I think, for my bullet journal, which I did for a little while, but it was not the structure of it just didn't quite work for me. So this stays at my desk. And this has stuff that you guys have all seen. So this is my little white book of information of every, all my, it starts with tarot, it has Minciotti, it has numbers and kind of working with Marseille things. It has Lenormand, it has, a tableau setting for Lenormand. all Lenormand, both tableaus. It has Kipper, has my master things. It has a tableau for Kipper, all my charms for charm casting, Deste. I mean, you guys have seen this in the past. Playing card divination, astrological correspondences, and so on. So that has all that in it. And it does have some spreads in the back as well, although I'm running out of paper. So I put in a new book that is going to have, I think I'm going to put just spreads and things like that in there. This is actually all geomancy, and it is filled to all the way up because I love geomancy, and so it just has everything geomancy-wise at the tip of my fingers. It pretty much coalesces all of my notes on geomancy into one booklet, and so that's there. So, and then I have this just a craft folder here that has like my illuminated earth, because I have that out of its box, so that's just there. I have different sheets like my rune handouts, my ohm handouts, things like just miscellaneous papers, and it really keeps everything together nicely. Oops, I'm going to put this back so I don't forget it. I often flop between wanting to remember my masters when I'm doing a reading, or just taking a peek at what the houses are. And so I just have them clamped together so I can flip-flop between them as needed. So that is that, and it just stays in the side of, I have a little like organizer right here, and it can just sit right in the front of it, and it's just there ready to access. There. You know, all of these kinds of things, like what I just showed you, this, these are things that I do, A, for myself, so I've kind of coalesced all of the things that I want to coalesce, but B, it's also for my daughter. It's for someday my daughter will have all of the information on how I read the different divination systems in sort of one compact place, how I do different things that I do, and she'll have that at her disposal, which is, is a benefit for me to taking the time to do them. And then this is the newest one, and this is a Midori as well, and this is the olive one, and this one is, I'm going to come back to this. Like you can see, I have actually, well, these are already named out what the actual plants are going to be, and then I can start adding new plants after that. But these are plants that I work with a lot. Well, I don't work with belladonna, or haven't yet, but I think we were doing this originally. I don't know what I was doing there. I'm half torn between like just starting fresh now, or not, but this has mugwort and blackberry and elder and chamomile and raspberry and dandelion and peppermint and palo santo and yarrow. And so I want to go in and sketch and give you my basic properties for different herbs into this book. And get that kind of moving along. And then I've got a blank one that I want to use for animals. I've worked with animal energy for technically my whole life, but I've really spent a long time developing my understanding and how I see different animals and things of that nature. So I do want to have a space for that, where I will probably do a little sketch or an outline of an animal or paw print or something, and then just so I'm kind of developing a little white book of animal energy for myself. So that's there, and then I have another one in the middle that I have a couple ideas with, but maybe to do with crystals as well. So this would be like animals and plants and crystals, like things of the earth. And this is also, I had set this up before. I have to get some rubber bands to pull these together because I forgot to order the connecting rubber bands. But I had already done all this on my other, and it fits much better with this. And it's got the nice little folder there. And it has a zipper pouch so that if I did take this out and about, I can stick little leaves and things like that in there. This is kind of my nature book. And that is the state of my journal collection. my calendar planner / journal collection. So again, some people are really interested in this and some people are not. It will be, firmly labeled so that those that will not be interested can avoid it. And those of you who made it to this point, I hope that you enjoyed it, and I hope that you have a wonderful day.